lucky me.
My number 8 this year was Ghost of Tsushima. So
we got an 8?
It down at 8. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, this is not a top 5 game for me.
Okay.
It's not a top 5 game, not even close. I think once you hear my top 5, you probably would. Hopefully, maybe you would agree. Maybe you wouldn't. But I think you'll see that my top 5 are all very, very high quality. So I'm not like putting some piece of junk in my top 5 to put Ghost. This is honestly where I feel it falls.
Yeah.
In my assessment of playing it. There were some things that I really liked in Ghost that I really, really enjoyed. And so, of course, it's going to make my top 10 list. You know, I played a lot of games that didn't make it. This one made it, you know, so at least made my list. And I did like it a little better than Watch Dogs. As much as I liked Watch Dogs, I did like it a little better than Watch Dogs, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Ubisoft fan. So what the things I really liked they did was I really enjoyed the duels. I thought they nailed the samurai duels. That was extremely well done. You felt like a samurai, man, when you were fighting those duels.
They were pretty freaking dope.
Yeah,
man.
they really recreated
the cutscenes and all that stuff.
Yeah, like that was well done. Like I really enjoyed that. I would just hunt those down, man. I was talking with you, like I'm looking for the next duel, man. I'm looking for the next duel, you know. Like I can't wait to fight even the tougher guy.
They were tough,
you know?
They weren't just
tough.
like easy to breeze through, for sure.
I really, really enjoyed the duels a whole lot. That was my favorite part of the whole game. And then the second thing I liked about the game was just the using the environment to direct you in the open world. I think that's like, I don't know. I think we see that idea, and our first thought is like, oh, that's super simple and that's inevitable, right? But no one ever did it. You know, no one ever used like the wind and the animals and the environment to.
Oh, it's like guides.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Using nature in the world just to direct you and guide you. That is super innovative, shockingly enough. I mean, it seems so simple, but it's a total innovation, and they kind of nailed it. I mean, it's an early innovation. It could be a little better, but like even to the point where like you have smoke signals in the background. You're like, oh, what is that smoke? I want to run towards that. Like trying to keep you in the world and not in the map was something I really, really liked, and I thought that they nailed it with that. So those two things I think were totally awesome, are worthy of praise. My major issues with it are there is no gear hunt. I really wanted different weapons. I wanted to earn a legendary level, you know, different tiers of weapons with like cool affixes. And yes, you can go and get like a new bow that has a cool affix on it. It's very small though. It's like it's tiny.
Like a slight legendary list.
Yeah, it's like a slight legendary list. I really wanted a more fleshed out gearing system. You know, that's something I love. Like I'm hunting for that in my RPGs, and it did not have that. Your armors, you just find like sets. I rather find like pieces, you know, and go out and just collect. I want to go collect armor and weapons, and Ghost did not have that. And then another one of my major issues with it was the enemies were always the same enemies, regardless of what zone you were in. They just reskin them in different colors.
Yeah.
So you just got stronger, and your enemies just kind of stayed the same, and the game just became like super trivial, super easy. Like there was never anything in that game that I ever felt scared of ever. And especially I didn't feel afraid when I was in stealth mode. Like it was just like, I don't know, that game was so flawed when it came to the combat. I felt I really let me down. And then and I agree with Stone, like I had a really hard time with the voice acting and the narrative, and especially of Jin Sakai and what they did with his character model. They didn't deliver on that front either, and they kept making it feel like, I mean, even like with like the stealth mechanics, right? Like they were like telling you how rotten you were for being so stealthily, but then at the same time but when you go into the zone, you're going to want to use stealth, right? Or they throw all these cool stealth abilities at you, but you're telling me how dishonorable I'm being.
And the game is called Ghost for Pete's sake.
Yeah, and the game is called Ghost for Pete's sake. Yeah, and it was a big problem, like with telling you how dishonorable you were for being this samurai ninja. But it's like, but you're telling me I have to be that, and it's like there's just
or
this
you're just
disconnect.
making it so that it's so obvious that I should just stealth right here.
Yeah,
everybody's back is turned. Everybody
you're
needs to
making
get
it
the
so
sniper
obvious.
back.
Like this is how I'm supposed to do this.
Yeah.
And then, there was just problems with that narrative connection, that dissonance that I talked about on the last time we talked about this game, that it really hurt. And I had such high hopes, man. I was so pumped because Japan is one of my favorite eras. Feudal Japan. We love Japan. Like we name our guilds after them. Seppuku, right? I mean, like we just adore the Japanese lore and the Japanese, history. And this game I was so excited, and just kind of fell flat in the areas that I really wanted to perform. But there were some great things about it, so it definitely makes my list.
Awesome.
At 8.
Sure. All right, guys. So for my number 8, it's the. Don't give me too much slack, all right, guys. But it's the Super Mario 3D
AllStars
collection.
Nice.
So the reason why, there's a couple reasons why it's on my list. The first reason is because for people like all of us, we played these games throughout the years, so they may not be necessarily new. But for the new generation of gamers, they may have never had the privilege of playing these games.
Mm-hmm.
These games still hold their value, so it's not like they're in the bargain bin for a couple bucks. So I went back, and when I played Super Mario 64, it is the definition of a platformer. And I feel that this game stands the test of time. Someone, who's 10 years old, who never played the OG Super Marios, can play Super Mario 64, and I feel that they can have a blast. Everything from the gameplay feels smooth and snappy. The music is incredible, and the graphics have a timelessness to them that I think you could really enjoy and get immersed in the world. There's also Super Mario Sunshine, which I think is a wonderful game. The graphics are incredible. And there's Galaxies, which that's one that I never played before,
right?
but it is a masterpiece. So even for fans like me, I never got to play that game. All 3 of these games you can have in your pocket on a Switch, and I think that's where games like this should be. So I, commend Nintendo for packaging these together. The one gripe I have is they said it's limited only till March of next year. So that's
for the physical copy.
For the physical copy. So that's what made me go out and buy it on day one. I got it. Luckily, it was $49. I got it on sale.
Oh, okay, nice. You got a little deal.
I got it on a good deal on it, but it made me want out and get it because it was limited.
Me too. Like when I first thought I had it, I pre-ordered it. Right? I talked about that. Because it's like, goodness, like this for me, this was the deal of the year from Nintendo.
Yeah.
I mean, we had this discussion where it's like these are old games, so they should be worth nothing. But dude, not
worth nothing, but just like greatly reduced.
Man,
it should not be the same. It should not be the same price as like all of the other games that are brand new. You guys literally just took that information, compiled it together, and then threw it on here. Like, come on, bro. Like, you're gonna charge me $60 for this?
But in the game's defense, like I said, I think a new audience. There's people like us who play these games, but there's tons of new Nintendo fans who never had the opportunity to play these games. So for $60 to get 3 masterpieces,
in these games, and they stand the test of time better than older games. It's just a fact. Like if they just reskinned Perfect Dark, for example, and said, hey, here's our Perfect Dark 007 combo bundle that you can buy for $50, right? We would be like, oh, that's a ripoff, right? Because that game does not stand the test of time. Like it's a piece of junk.
Today's
right? Yeah, compared to what we play today, it's actual junk. 64 isn't that. Galaxy isn't that. Like these games are very, very relevant. I definitely think people could launch a game. I honestly believe you can launch Mario 64. Like imagine it never existed. No one ever made that game. And someone indie developer decided to make it, right? And they launched this game, and it's this new indie game that someone just released. I think we would all go and go, wow, this is a great game.
But not looking the way it's looking right now, though, right?
Yeah, the exact way it is. This exact model of N64. If someone launched an indie dev studio, like made Mario 64, it wouldn't be called Mario 64, it would be called something else. But if it was that exact game, I think it would get total praise, even today. People would still really have a great time with it. It would be considered one of the indie releases of the year. I mean, we're playing pixelated, 8-bit games all the time. This is better than that as far as graphics goes. But the game feels so well polished and playable today that I think it wouldn't be a $60 game, but it'd be an indie game, like easily $20 game. I think.
Yeah, I agree completely.
It stands the test of time just better than a lot of old games do.
And my vision for the Switch service, the Nintendo service, is I hope all their heavy hitters like this are included in the online package, because they've been adding a couple games here and there. This December they added a couple more games to the Super NES, the online package. I hope that they compete with Game Pass and the PlayStation by adding some of these renowned collections, because I feel like games like this everyone should play.
Right.
Because these are the best of the best games out there, and especially for Nintendo, these are going to be the best platformers that you may ever play. And to Marcus's point, it is a little expensive to charge this for games that people already bought and played, but I feel like, if they maybe increase their subscription a little bit and give everyone these games for free, that might appease some people who are like, I'm not going to buy this game again, because they're masterpieces in my eyes. So I think, everyone should play them, and everyone should have the opportunity to play them. So that's why I made my list. Although, it's a release, that's why I made my list for the year.
Right.
Okay.
It did launch this year. Yeah. Okay.
So my number 8 is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners VR. So the reason I picked that one is because, as you guys would know, I'm like a big advocate or whatever of VR games. And so that was one of the like the very few games that just has like a lot of content in it for VR. And then for it to have, it's just like a full fleshed out game, and there's a lot of stuff to do. There's the way that the aiming and the attacking and stuff like that goes, the walking, it's all fun. It doesn't make you nauseous or anything like that. But it's just like you feel like you're really in like a Walking Dead, movie or a scenario. Cool. You know what I mean? Because there's zombies.
Yeah, that was when you were like raving about, right? You kept talking about how awesome that was.
I had when I had first heard about it, I saw that it was on Oculus. But it was the one that's like attached to the PC, so it wasn't the Quest or whatever, but it was just that.
Right.
And so I kept it on my radar because I was watching somebody on YouTube play it, and I was like, oh, that looks really fun, because you got to two-hand wield the axe, you got to position it right, you know what I mean, and like it just feels like you're really playing it. And when it finally came to the PS4, I was like, oh man, I gotta get it. So I got it. And it's tough. It's definitely not like an easy game that you can breeze through. You know what I mean? Because you got your couple of shots. Your weapons, they break, so you got to craft new ones and work those in. And sometimes you can get caught in like a predicament where like you're trying to load, but you just can't get it in right. And it's like it's real, because it's like you see the zombies coming, you run out of shots, and you're like, damn, this is a 6-shot revolver. I literally got to pull the bullets out, load them in one at a time, but they're coming still. So I got to like grab you, I got to throw you back.
And you're using your arms like that, huh?
Yeah.
That's
you could just grab them, you can push them back,
you
can push the other dudes back, you could, you can try to like, hit them with the gun or whatever, to push them, but you would be able to like put the gun back, grab both of them, smash their heads together, and throw them back or whatever to try to cause damage, but it's like you're sitting there, you fumble, you might drop the gun, and it's like, damn, I gotta go find the gun now.
Yeah, like look down and figure it out. That's cool.
So it kind of gives you like this feeling that you're like really like in this environment.
Yeah, I remember you talking a lot about the experience, man. You were really jaw-dropped by it.
Yeah, and there's like some of the scenarios of people you come across or whatnot, and they're not just like fixated there. So it's like if you don't have what they're looking for, or you don't come back in enough time, they're just gone. You know what I mean? You have like a certain amount of time, throughout the day that you can actually explore, and then you got to hightail it back home, because if you stay out there, they're just going to swarm,
right?
And it's going to be really, really difficult to do anything really. So, that type of, that sense of like urgency and whatnot, but like still like wanting to explore and look around or whatever. It just made it like a really cool game, and it felt like a full game. You know what I mean? There's like Skyrim on the VR, but I just felt like nauseous, and
that was not
the gameplay didn't feel that great to me. For Skyrim to be on VR, so I feel like that doesn't really count. There's a couple of the other games that are really good, but moving might be a little wonky or like restricted or whatever. But this one I felt was like, it was like a solid game. You know what I mean?
Cool.
No matter like it didn't register my controllers off wrong. Like, where I wanted to go is where I wanted to go. Just like attacking properly, you just had to get the grasp on that. But it was fun. You know what I mean? It felt like you're actually doing something. When you were able to survive a horde from, coming in, you felt like, whew, like, I
did that.
Man, that was like nerve-wracking, man. Like, dropping a gun with like 4 or 5 zombies in the room with you, and the more keep coming, feeling is like, golly, like I gotta get out of here. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
So, you know, giving that feeling is really tight. So I think that was a great game, and I'm looking forward to hopefully trying Hitman 3 sometime next year to see how that is.
We're all looking to see how that works, because that's the full game.
No Man's Sky VR
Right.
also. I want to try that one out. So there's a couple of things, but I really want that PSVR 2 headset to come out so that I can do that without the wires, and then hopefully get like some better graphics, and hopefully that will entice other companies to just port like a VR you know, gameplay access, you know, on their game or whatever, just to allow that, you know what I mean? Just allowing a VR headset to be played through that game is what I want. So I hope to see more of that.
I love you, me.